If you're someone who feels like you're getting bored a lot, you want to switch jobs all the time, your work is kind of feeling stale, you're not growing, I find that being a freelancer within a design agency can really get a lot of those, get that excitement back, for lack of a better term. So today I want to talk about the 5 reasons why I love working for design agencies as a freelancer. All right, let's get into it. Working on your own as a freelancer can be great. There's a lot of independence. You get a lot of control, but at the same time, you're working alone a lot of the time. And sometimes the only person that you're partnering with is, the business owner client that you're talking to within a project. It might really just be this one-on-one relationship. As someone who spent a lot of time in the earlier parts of my career within the design agency world, I really miss that creative energy. And every time I go back, or even just sort of go to like an open house or something and get to see old colleagues, I just feel that creative energy again. It's so nice to be around other creative thinkers, especially ones that aren't in your discipline. That, sort of cross-pollination, people can kind of come out of nowhere with really interesting insights that just make your work better, teach you something. I love all that kind of interaction that you have. As someone who's a full-time freelancer, when I get to work within that agency environment, I really get to have the best of both worlds, where I get to keep some of my independence and how I like to do things on my side, but I get to kind of jump back into that collaborative environment. I get to, cross paths with other smart, creative people. When I work as a freelancer for a design agency, it creates a different relationship than if I was going to be an employee for that same agency. I'm a little bit on the outside, and that creates a couple of interesting opportunities for myself, and it gives them some benefits of me not being a full-time employee. In my experience over the years, coming in as a freelancer, you kind of come in from the side almost. They don't quite think about you the same way they think about an employee, who they might be trying to train a certain way, or they might have hired them with a very specific client or project or type of project in mind. And when you're a freelancer, they kind of think about you as someone who's like filling in gaps for them. And for me personally, I maybe got stuck a little bit more in a one-track mentality when I was an employee, where they sort of thought about me a certain way, they thought about the work I could do a certain way, and the way I could advance almost felt more limited. But when I've been a freelancer, some of those associations are broken, either because I'm a freelancer or because, I'm a totally new person that they don't know. I've often been able to work on projects that I would have had a really hard time getting put on if I was a full-time employee. Because you're a freelancer, and because they can kind of get rid of you quite easily, they're more willing to just sort of throw you on something that they're not sure is gonna work. If you're an internal employee, they really need all of those hours that they pay you as a salaried worker. They need them to be used as effectively as possible. When you're a freelancer, if it doesn't work, if it's not the right fit, they can get rid of you basically instantly, and potentially they might only spend a few hours kind of figuring that out. So they might be willing to throw you on something that they desperately need help with illustration, and they're like, hey, can you do this? And you just say, sure, of course. And you can jump on that and prove yourself right away and then get more work that is like that. But sometimes when you're an internal employee, they really need you to do something that they know you're good at already. So they kind of keep you doing that same thing. And if you want to try something new, sometimes you really have to fight for it. I've just found that there's fewer preconceptions about who you are and what you can do. That kind of has helped me go in through the side door and take on projects I would have had a much harder time getting as a full-time employee. Another reason why I love being a freelancer at design agencies is maybe, I don't know if this is controversial, but it's definitely like a part of corporate culture I'm not a big fan of. And I have found freelancing to be a really great way to sidestep that. And that is the office politics game. I'm not a big fan of it. It's never been something that I've wanted to engage with. And I've often found that to advance in a certain way at certain companies, it's just really a big part of what you have to do. Playing the office politics game, trying to make myself into something I wasn't in order to advance in a certain way with those opportunities available to me at that organization. That just wasn't something I really wanted to do. I really wanted to do the work. Sometimes when you're an internal employee, there's maybe a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of competition going on with other colleagues. I can sidestep any competitive feelings that people might have as well, because I'm not vying for the same role that someone else might be there. I don't really pose any threat to anyone's job. That really creates an interesting dynamic where, I can still get a lot of the creative energy that I love, but I both don't have to change myself to sort of fit within a certain track in order to grow. And also the company isn't really worried about doing all that extra stuff that they typically have to do to grow an individual. And also other people within the company aren't worried about competing with me in any way. I'm a little bit more neutral, and they can feel a little bit more safe, kind of trusting me or working with me, because, I'm not gonna step on their toes in any real way, because, at the end of the day, when the project is over, I'm gone, and that creates a little bit of safety, even though I might be a little bit of an outsider. So another thing that I really love about being a freelancer working for a design agency is the idea of opposite schedules. I find that my best creative hours are not the typical 9 to 5 window. Of course, they might need me to be available for that 9 to 5 window, be reachable. And they might need me to attend certain client meetings, whether that's in person or, over, a Zoom call or something. So of course I'm available for those things, but I can also do the bulk of my creative work in a different window that actually suits me better. The other part that people might not think about this is it actually benefits the companies a lot as well. So because I might be taking different days off, or I might need different breaks than their employees, sometimes I will happily work over the weekend or work on a day that's a holiday for that company. And I can kind of keep the ball rolling while everyone else is out, and I can make headway, while people are asleep, or all of those things. I can kind of move the project forward on their off hours, if those suit me, of course. I'm sort of working what for them might be overtime hours, but within my 40-hour week, I can kind of move those blocks around to both suit myself better and potentially suit them better. So I really like that I have been able to help move a project forward that would have stalled normally, because, they were all taking a team holiday and I didn't need that holiday. My hours are different. My holidays are there, they're just in a different place. So I can really help pad out those times, because I don't necessarily want to work 9 to 5 exactly all the time. Both for my own creative practice, the fact that I get more work done, get it done faster in different times, and also just for other needs within my life. I can kind of move those blocks around to suit myself and them better. Another reason why I really love working as a freelancer for design agencies is the fact that I get to really get a lot of the learning and teaching, aspects that I love about any interaction with creative people. I'm diving into a new project. I'm potentially working with other people above me, and I'm gonna learn a lot from them, both in their style of working, the type of project that we're working on, the organization as a whole. There's so much to learn, and I always find that to be a really engaging part of the process. And I also get the chance to teach. I get to maybe bring outside ideas that they don't know about, work with other designers, both at my level or below, and sort of get that whole learning and teaching, school vibes. It keeps my work and my techniques within the industry really fresh, because I get to, I get to learn from all these different people, not just from like one particular organization for, you know, a stretch of several years. I really get to mix that up depending on who I'm working with at the time. As they say, you know, when you're teaching something, you learn it better yourself. So like that whole process comes baked in a little bit more than when you are someone who's on the internal team. That sort of hierarchical structure, which is there for a reason, can kind of limit that to some degree. That either you're the person at the top and you're sort of only teaching, or you're someone who's in the middle or lower down and you're sort of only absorbing. When you kind of come in as that, you know, freelancer outsider, there's a bit of that full cycle happening. And I've just found that to be something that's really engaging for me and also beneficial for the teams that I help. And the last reason of why I love being a freelancer for design agencies is the fact that I get to work for all of my like old work friends. I get to go work for all the best people that I used to work for or work with before. I get to go and have those great coworker relationships again. And that also helps really like start that project with trust and start it up more quickly. We can really jump in because we have a relationship already. When you're working with people that you get along with personally and you get along with creatively and you sort of have a really great working relationship, it's just the work's always more fun and the work's always better. I can work with all those best people that I used to work with without like quitting my job and having to be rehired, you know, somewhere else. And at the same time, I could be working for all of my best previous bosses. Like, you can't do that if you're a full-time employee. If you at least have a few years under your belt, you know, you can use this to just sort of go and hang out with all the people you loved working with before. If you like working with agencies or you get a lot out of that, freelancing might be a great option for you, where you can kind of have the best of both worlds and you can work with all the best people. You can work on your own time and you can also help those teams out a lot in a way that you might not have realized. Let me know if you're a freelancer and these things resonate with you. And also let me know if you're someone who's been considering freelancing and this stuff kind of feels right, or even if it doesn't. This is not a good fit for everyone. Freelancing has its quirks and it has its downsides. And if these things like don't feel useful or helpful or engaging, you know, perhaps full-time employment is just gonna be a way better fit for you, and that's great. But you're never gonna know if you don't hear things like this from someone who's actually done it before and you don't have conversations with the other creatives that are around you. I guess let me know what you think, and I'd love to talk more about freelancing. I think it's great. It's worked very well for me, but you know, let me know if you'd like to hear more about that. Okay, have a wonderful day. Bye.